Hi, my name is Christina Murphy, and I am one of the authors of the Empowerment Model of Clinical Supervision. And I'm here with my co-author.
Hey everybody, Kara Crossway Brindle. Welcome back to more videos.
Yes, and we are doing skits from the book on some of our vignettes. And today we have Clarice, who Kara will be playing, and I will be her supervisor. So today I would like you to see what roles we are in when we are doing the supervision. So Clarice, what do you have for me today?
Well, I am super embarrassed to have to explain this to you, but I had a client hit on me after our first session, and he's a younger client. I tried to rationalize that in my head, but I'm just feeling really anxious and uncomfortable about going back into a session with him. It was very much in my personal space, and I don't think I handled myself well. I was kind of in shock when it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So why don't you explain a little bit about what you mean by hit on me?
So, I mean, it started with the self disclosure of like, oh, do you have pets? Are you married? Do you have kids? Which I know is a common thing for people to feel like we're human. But then it
Mm-hmm.
went to like, we went through this whole session. I felt like we were building some rapport. And then he was too much in my space, being like, oh, so do you ever want to get coffee sometime? And I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just shocked. Like, I didn't expect that to be the direction that we were going. And it was the end of the session. And I just felt like I could have handled it better.
Yeah. So for you, it was, yeah, the uncomfortableness. So something to know, when, you're new to this world, and anytime a new, when you're first meeting with a client, they see you as an authority. They see you as somebody who's finally listening to them. And there can be that, oh my gosh, this is finally somebody who cares about me, somebody who's listening to me. And there's that immediate connection, that immediate, oh my gosh, right? So I want you to think about what would we normally do when somebody is doing this to us, like if you were out just normally, if this
Hmm.
person did this to you.
Well, I mean, I think my shock reaction would still show up because I'm out in the community not thinking that's going to happen. It's nice for you to say that to me because I felt like I did something wrong or I encouraged this in some way. And from what you're saying, maybe that didn't happen that way. Maybe I didn't encourage him to think that this is going to be anything other than professional, but I definitely had a worry that I like somehow he misunderstood me.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, he came in and finally there's somebody listening to him. You were probably smiling at him and giving him reassurance that, hey, I'm finally somebody here who's going to listen to you and understand you. And did you say that this client was younger? Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, like
So
an older teenager. Hmm.
yeah. So that population too probably doesn't understand all the cues yet. So sometimes even just a smile or showing just that reciprocation of care can be, oh, this person likes me. So this is actually a good opportunity for you to teach him, right? That you are that this isn't going to turn into anything else. So how might you do that? How would you teach somebody of a younger age that that this isn't going to go beyond a therapeutic relationship? How would you teach those boundaries?
Well, I mean, from what I'm hearing you say, I feel like I need to address it right away in our next session. Even though I'm feeling anxious about it, I think it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
important to like set some boundaries again so it doesn't keep
Mm-hmm.
happening. So I guess I probably would say something like, you know, you we left the session in kind of a strange place because this was said, and I want to really revisit our boundaries because this is my role with you. What questions do you have? And maybe he can process if there's a reaction or if he's like, oh, we're good. I was just joking, testing you versus, oh, I'm really embarrassed. Like I can work with that, like whatever his reaction is.
Right. And maybe even validating him, saying this might be the first time that somebody's ever listened to you and showed you the kind of care I did. Because you also want to maybe reassure him that the feelings he had were valid, but just misdirected towards somebody who that would never amount out to anything, right?
Right.
So So when you say that you will address this with him and you will be clear, will that mean being clear about your role, or what did you mean by that?
Yeah, I think being clear on my role of like, I'm your therapist, this is what that means, and just like outline, those confidentiality limits, things like that again. And
Mm-hmm.
then I guess because I don't want to damage the rapport, I think it's important to be like, how are we doing now? Like once I've addressed that, like see how he reacts.
Good job.
Because I
Hmm.
feel like if I don't ask him how he's feeling, it almost might lead to shame, which is not what I want. I don't want him to feel bad.
Right, right. That's a good job. Like you're doing a temperature check. Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I feel like I have a good sense of where to go. I guess my last question for our supervision session would be, let's say we address it, but it happens again, or like he pushes those boundaries again. Like,
Hmm.
I guess if I continue to find myself uncomfortable or he's uncomfortable, like, do I work with you as my supervisor on this? Like, how do I know if I need to like transfer him or something?
That would be it. So if you're feeling uncomfortable and he's still pushing that boundary, that tells us that he is not able to stay within his role with you. And we would have to look at transferring him to somebody that he's able to work with.
Okay.
Because sometimes there is that attraction, right? And we're not able to, some clients can't maintain that boundary, and we'll have to assess it at that point.
Okay.
So that's a
So
really good question.
I feel better knowing you're in my corner on that. Thank you. Okay. So I will let you know how this goes and bring it back to supervision next week.
Yeah. And if you are feeling uncomfortable when you meet with him that day, there's other people in the office, just kind of let us know this is a client that you're meeting with, so we know, so we're sure that you're comfortable.
Awesome. Thank you. I feel so much better about it. I'm still a little nervous, but I feel like I have a plan.
Yeah, nice work bringing it to me.
Right. So, obviously, the question, viewers, is what did you see Christina do well and what roles was she in? So, Christina, do you want to speak to the ones you're trying to embody, or do you want me to guess some of the ones I felt were coming from
Yes.
you?
What do you think I was doing? Well,
You're definitely showing me a lot of leadership and just like normalizing this happens, there's
mhm,
authority, this is a common thing, it's embarrassing, but it's doable, it's solvable or repairable.
mhm,
um I definitely saw you do the teacher role of just
mhm,
saying like, hey, here's what people have done or here's what you can try. I love that you brought
mhm,
it back to me in a curious place of like, what could you do and what did you mean by bringing it to his attention or setting
mhm,
boundaries. So I
mhm.
saw those working very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And really, what I was trying to do too is making sure I was trying to inquire to see kind of where your mind was going, because you came in pretty strong of, oh, this is like, because when supervisees come in really uncomfortable and they're kind of creeped out, you kind of want to figure out, is it, are they, how much of this is just kind of the initial response versus really ingrained in the supervisee, because we come in contact with a lot of clients that do a lot of things where you're like, what's going on here, and you want to make sure that's just an initial, just a tap of, a little bit of uncomfortableness and not something that's really ingrained in a supervisee. You want to make sure that they're able to come back once they have new information and recenter, and you were able to recenter very quickly and see that this isn't something that's maybe pathological in your client, and it's just something that maybe this client is really like, oh, I finally have somebody who cares about me. But then you did a really good job at the end asking, well, what if this client is truly like really attracted to me and I can't shake him? That's a really good question too, because that could very well be what's going on, and we might need to move this client to somebody else. It's not that he doesn't deserve treatment, it just means that, because that does happen, right? And clients don't have good boundaries sometimes, and we have to move them to someone else. So that was a good job.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
viewers, I hope this is helpful to you as we kind of dissect a few vignettes for you and get you thinking at a deeper level. Stay tuned for more videos from us. We'll see you next time.
See you later.